What is up, everybody? Sam Dog, the infamous 253, once again coming at you with Brendon Nelson, Seahawks Brendon Nelson, as we get on to our preview for our Week 9 matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the Buffalo Bills from Orchard Park, New York. How you doing, Brendon?
I'm doing good, Sam. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, should be a pretty tough matchup. I mean, it felt good, last week to, just take that dump on the 49ers and beat them with ease, other than the garbage time yards we gave up at the end. But, it is what it is. Felt good to get that one off our backs. And now we're on to a tough Buffalo defense and a tough Buffalo offense, which they've kind of been slacking a little bit, but yet I'm still not going to sleep on them, because we know they got former Seahawk Quentin Jefferson on that defense for their pass rush. And then there's also the hype going around Tre'Davious White, in that secondary, because he'll probably be the one-on-one matchup most likely on either Metcalf or Lockett. So what is your first thoughts going in there to how we need to attack that Bills defense?
Well, they've been giving up a lot of rushing yards lately, which makes it kind of important that we actually have some running backs this week. We don't know about Carson. We don't know about Hyde. We don't know about Travis Homer, even though he played last week. So that's a little bit of an issue. But at the same time, I do want to stress it's very important that this Seahawks team does not forget what got them this far. What got them this far was throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah.
So even though we're playing a team that has given up a lot of rushing yards and not a lot of yards, and they've had a lot of success against the pass, I don't want us to get away from that game plan. And in a way, not having our running backs out there this week could possibly motivate a game plan similar to what we saw against the 49ers, where we just attacked the secondary, we attacked them through the air, and that strategy worked really well. So I'm going to continue to say this pretty much every game we play. I want us to stick with what worked really well for us this whole season, and that is airing the ball out. Even though the Bills have great players in their secondary, even though the Bills have a great pass defense in general, we can't get away from that.
Exactly. I mean, and then also, definitely got to stick to that routine. Because someone in our last preview came on commenting, saying about how Frisco's pass defense was, the number 3 ranked pass defense. But in this, we basically all know it comes down to weaknesses. And basically in the NFL, rankings don't mean shit. It's basically any given Sunday. So we just keep
Right. There
on.
isn't a lot of consistency from week to week from teams in general. What you see one week will rarely translate over to the next week. You will frequently see aberration games. You will typically see things that are outside the norm. Like Cam Newton had 500 yards against us in week 2, it felt like, and he might not have 500 yards since that game.
Mm-hmm.
So strange stuff does happen. I know the Bills have not exactly been playing great football lately. They really came very close to losing to the Patriots practice squad last week. They gave up quite a bit to Kansas City, and Kansas City didn't even really air it out all that much.
And then
So there's definitely,
Tennessee's defense did dominate them most of that game too.
yes, that too. So I feel pretty good about this game. The main reason why I was worried about this game going into the season was the weather in Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks like the weather in Buffalo is going to be fine. It looks like the weather in Buffalo is going to be solid. So
Yeah, I was looking ahead at the 10-day forecast when I was doing the picks with Dallas, because Dallas and I have expressed our concerns with how the weather's going to be. Now, Russell's never played a game in Buffalo before, because the first time Russell ever took on the Bills was in 2012, but that game was in the Rogers Center, formerly known as the Sky Dome in Toronto. And we all know what happened that game when Wilson basically had the 3 rushing touchdowns in the first half, and we put that 50 burger on him back-to-back weeks, and then – of course, the last time we played him in Seattle was when Jimmy Graham had that game where he hurdled Stephon Gilmore and then had the 2 one-handed touchdown catches back when Gilmore was a Bill. And now we basically got to go to Buffalo. But my concern going into this one obviously is going to be the receiver core with John Brown, Cole Beasley, and then, of course, you got Stephon Diggs, who they acquired in that trade with the Minnesota Vikings. And then you got Mike Singletary. You got Singletary, the running back. They got a good running backs. They got, of course, a good tight end group, too, with Tyler Croft and who was the one guy known with the last name Knox? And basically I was trying to think back to some of the names on that Buffalo Bills offense. But we are pretty familiar with Beasley and John Brown and Diggs. So what's your thoughts going into that?
well, the Bills' offense has a lot of talent. at the wide receiver spot. They have a lot of talent at the tight end spot as well. You're right about that. It hasn't really been translating well lately. The Bills' offense has not played well for quite some time. So I don't really know what's going on there. I know that Josh Allen looked like the league MVP after 4 games, and since then he's been very average.
Mhm.
You may just very well be seeing him regressing to the mean. But this Seattle defense, even though they played pretty well last week, hasn't exactly been the defense that you would expect to be able to just shut down any opposing offense. So this could be a get right game for him, even if they lose.
Yeah.
So I'm looking to some of the guys who are going to get back to make some plays. Like it looks like we're going to get Jamal Adams. Looks like we're getting Snacks. Looks like we're getting Carlos
Dunlap.
Dunlap in there. Looks like we're getting. We may not get some of our cornerbacks back, which is a problem against this defense. I'm sorry, this offense. But there's something not going very well with that. There's something going on with that Buffalo offense, and they're not playing as well as they were to start the season at all. It seems like ever since they blew that 4 touchdown lead against the Rams and still managed to find a way to win that game, it just hasn't been the same for them.
Right, exactly. I remember. So, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Like possibly 2 or 3 turnovers to put the game in our favor if we were to force those
Yeah,
turnovers.
Josh Allen plays very carelessly. He does make many bad plays over the course of a game. Now he's extremely talented. He makes a lot of great plays as well, but he is the kind of guy who will make mistakes if you can get a little pressure on him. He is the kind of guy who is going to make the terrible throw, terrible decision if you force him to do it. So I am looking at that. I am looking at that and hoping that we are able to force that. That's going to require us to get some pressure.
Hmm.
And with the new guys we're adding this week, I think we should be able to. So I'm optimistic about that.
Yeah, another thing I want to talk about again too, like when years back when going up against running quarterbacks, and we know Josh Allen can run too. So, how much I mean, how much do you expect us to try to, go out there and contain the gaps with going up against, Josh Allen? Because, going up against a running quarterback, we can't give him those open room and lanes to run. So gap containment could be another big factor with, trying to hold Josh Allen in the pocket and prevent him from running on us. So how much gap containment do you see coming into this game that we need to be prepared for to do?
Well, we have a lot of guys who we feel comfortable using to spy opposing QBs. Shaquem Griffin, we used him a lot against Kyler, and it worked okay. Jamal Adams is coming back this week. He could be a QB spy. Bobby Wagner is still an effective QB spy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Josh Allen has the Lamar Jackson speed where he can just outrun Bobby Wagner. That's not really what he does. So we definitely have some guys we can use against that. So I'm not too worried about that. Josh Allen is a very fun quarterback to watch. He's got a very fun skill set. But
Yeah.
I feel comfortable with the way this team has been playing lately that they would be able to stop him. They did let Kyler get a couple good plays against them, but for the most part, they did okay in that game against him. So yeah, I'm feeling comfortable with where it is.
Yeah, again, Jamal, and hopefully Dunlap can have an immediate impact. And then, like you mentioned, I was watching your Road to 150 video earlier about getting a Rasheem Green back, how hopefully that could help us out too. And then obviously, like still we got to try to shut down the receivers. And like, does DJ Reed have another role in this game coming in too? And I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Because I was satisfied seeing Reed, picking off his ex-quarterback, and I expressed it with him as he was leaving in his BMW after the game last week against San Francisco. I mean, do you see Reed having another big role, especially on the corner blitz where he and Bobby forced that sack?
Well, he's going to have to because he's definitely going to have to play this week. It doesn't look like we're going to get a Mahdi back. I don't know about Shaq. With what we're hearing about Shaq, it doesn't sound overly promising. So we probably are going to need him to do something. He's a good player. He is a good player, DJ Reed. I slept on him a little bit this year only because I thought he was going to be out for the season. I thought he was just not going to play at all this year. So I'm really happy to see that he's actually doing something for us this year. And I thought he played a great game against the 49ers. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, he's going to have to if we're going to make plays on defense in this game.
Yeah. And then, of course, I mean, our offense, we got to, still like protect against pass rushers like former Seahawk Quentin Jefferson. And then, of course, the Bills still got Ed Oliver, who they drafted from the University of Houston. And then those are basically two of the real names I'm concerned about going into that game is our former guy, and Ed Oliver. And then, of course, there's Tre'Davious White in the secondary. And then, of course, the Bills also do have Josh Norman reunited with his old coach from Carolina, who got the best out of him in Carolina from that 2015 season. So we got to definitely look out for Josh Norman, too. So what are your thoughts about that, too? Obviously just stick to the game plan of trying to get good air out passes with Metcalf and Lockett and possibly David Moore if he gets open.
Yeah, I don't want to ever get away from that. And if we don't get our running backs back this week, which I think we'll have Carson, but we don't know yet. I think we'll have Homer, but he's not really that big of an impact on this offense anyway. Um, like I said, I don't want to get away from what works. And second of all, I don't think Josh Norman is that good of a player anymore.
Yeah.
I think that Josh Norman's best days are long behind him. He is not the guy that he was 5 years ago. So I'm not concerned about that. Tre'Davious White is very good, I think. Micah Hyde, I think, is having a good season for Buffalo as well.
I remember him as a Packer. He used to freaking kill us as a Packer.
Mm-hmm. So to me, you don't want to get away from what works. But if Carson comes back this week, then absolutely you want to utilize him. I have never wanted an air raid offense in Seattle. I will never ask for anything like that. We have a very good running back in Chris Carson. We should utilize him. But to me, what we should be doing is never get away from what got us there in the first place. The thing that makes this team a Super Bowl contender is the fact that they have Russell Wilson and these great receivers. Metcalf may have played the best game of his career against the 49ers.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. And then also, we still want to be able to take a load off of Carson with now I know he didn't really get a whole lot, but I was very proud of DJ Dallas, what he was able to do for us last week against the 49ers. He caught one through the air, and then he was able to get one on the ground for the dagger when Frisco did the onside kick way too early, when Mullins was trying to give him that life back, and then we basically were able to punch in the dagger. I really would like to see a little bit more of DJ Dallas, to take a little bit of a load so Carson doesn't have to, take so many of those hits if Carson is back, that is.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't think DJ Dallas played a particularly good game against the 49ers, but he is a rookie. It was his first big action of his career, effectively. And we have to remember, DJ Dallas only played running back for 1 year in college.
Yeah, he was a receiver.
Late convert, so he has very little experience as a running back in general. So I'm not worried about him. I think he will get better as time goes by. And it doesn't look like we're going to have Hyde back this week. I don't think we will. That's my read on the situation right now. So we're going to need him to do at least a little something against Buffalo. This is a good matchup for him. The 49ers, for all their issues this year, have been good against the run. So it's not exactly shocking that DJ wouldn't play well against them in terms of his raw numbers. So this Buffalo team has been giving up a lot on the ground lately. So there's definitely something we can do here.
At least it was enough, though, last week. That's all I got to say. For what you mentioned about it, but it's still, at least what he did was enough to help us get the win.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not ragging on him. I'm not saying he played bad, but I'm optimistic that he will get better as time goes by.
Yeah, I was optimistic about drafting him, saying that he was going to be the CJ Procise replacement that actually stays healthy this time around. And then also, where is this Bills defense ranked so far this year? Would you say what is their rankings so far? Not that I even care about rankings and that, just exploiting weaknesses and everything.
Well, the Bills, if you take a look, like I said, they started out the season pretty good on defense, although they have generally actually been giving up a lot of points in pretty much every game they've played. So it's not a terrible defense. Sorry about all those notifications popping off in the background.
Yeah, I'm having a pop up on my laptop too, though.
Sorry about that. Anyway, their defense has been pretty good this year, I guess. They've given up quite a few points in a lot of the games they played. There's no reason to believe that in good weather, which we're going to have on Sunday, it looks like, that we shouldn't be able to put up the kind of points that we have been putting up all season.
Right.
So I have no real concerns about this Buffalo Bills defense. They have good players. They make good plays. They do some positive things. But this is a defense that got completely clobbered off the field by the Titans. This is a defense that got clobbered in the second half against the Rams and gave up 4 touchdowns in what felt like 2 minutes.
And then the
This is a
Chiefs
defense
spanked
that
them.
gave up 28 points to the Dolphins. So I don't think they're overly special, and I think there are definitely some things we should be able to do against them. I'm not anticipating that this Seahawks defense shuts out the Bills offense at all. They have a lot of problems. They have a lot of injuries. They're not that good to start with right now, even though they played well against the 49ers. So I'm going to say what I always say. This offense needs to play great for us to win this game, and I think that they will.
Yep.
That's where we have the great players.
The offense is the greatness. And then if the defense can at least force, I'm going to say maybe at least 2 or 3 turnovers wins us this game. But as usual, like I always say, you get turnovers, you got to cash them in. And we did a really good job at cashing in the turnovers that we got against the 49ers, especially after, Reed got that interception. We were able to march it down the field and hit DK Metcalf at the end of the first quarter for the touchdown. And then, of course, the Cody Barton strip on Dante Pettis, and we were able to cash that in on that third down throw to David Moore. Like, if we make Josh Allen throw those interceptions, or if we're able to get pressure on him and strip him, even if he tries to run it and we're able to strip him, it's still a matter of cashing in. Mostly sixes, though. Hardly ever field goals, obviously, That's how basically I look at for trying to win these games, Get turnovers, cash them in,
And we've been doing that pretty much all season, so I have no concern about us being able to do that.
Yeah, it's been great.
If there's one thing this team has done consistently, it's be efficient and effective on offense. So I have full confidence that we'll find a way to do that.
Yeah, and regardless, I'm not sleeping on Buffalo. I'm still not sleeping on Buffalo, regardless of all that other stuff,
Right.
Yeah, and I think that pretty much sums up all that we have to talk about in this. Would you
That's really
say?
all I can say about this game.
Hmm?
I feel pretty good about it. I did not feel good about this game early. I did not feel good about this game as recently as a month ago. Buffalo just hasn't impressed me lately, and the good weather should lead to a win here.
And I love our momentum going into it too. Definitely having the momentum helps, and I agree with it. I wasn't so sure about this game until seeing how much the Bills have struggled, especially with how the Jets were able to hang in with them, and they basically won that game against the Jets with just all field goals, and then how close their game with the Patriots was, and basically all the Patriots really had to do was kick a field goal. They didn't really need to try to get that close again, and then Cam Newton just got stripped.
Right. That was a game against the Patriots practice squad as well, by the way. I mean, they didn't have their players really.
And now we're starting to get key guys back.
Right. But yeah, that's really all that can be said about this game. We kind of say the same thing every week, I know, but the same things are always true. This defense has not yet proven that they're good. So any offense we play, they're going to score points, they're going to get yards, they're going to make plays. So we just need the offense to be special, and in pretty much every game we played this year, they have been.
Damn right, and we got to just beat these winning teams, too. Just got to win against winning teams to show that we're still for real. Anyway, thank you guys for coming in, and, when this video is uploaded, make sure you guys also go subscribe to Brendon Nelson if you haven't yet. Check out his streams, his Road to 150 video he just dropped today, the Wagner Watch, which your Wagner Watches are every Wednesday, right?
Right.
Yeah, make sure you guys check those out. And, the numbers are looking pretty good so far. And Wagner definitely raised those numbers up this week on the Wagner Watch last week. So, and also if you're new, make sure to sub up my channel too. Me and Brendon, we always do these previews basically every Thursday. Every Thursday, I guess you could say we would do these previews. So thank you guys still for supporting us, coming in. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this for you guys, So we're going to sign off here. And if you ain't with it, you ain't infamous. And as always, go Seahawks.